Everyone told me that pouring concrete countertops was hard. They were wrong. The hard part came after.
The polishing. So in this video, I'm going to show you 3 of the biggest things that I've learned about polishing concrete for the first time, inside, with as little mess as possible. Oh, and I'm also going to show you if the craft store rock idea really worked. Once the concrete countertops were poured, then I had to polish them, which turned out to be a lot harder than the actual pour itself.
I'm not sure it's supposed to do that.
No, it's really not supposed to do that. It's only a really big issue if you're doing something like this outside. Essentially, I screeded it too much and I created a weak top layer.
But I have ordered diamond bits on Amazon that it's going to polish this to the 6,000 diamond grit. So hopefully it just takes it all off.
So once I had all of that scraped off, I did learn for the next pour around the sink to make sure that I do what's called a wet cure. So essentially, you cover the whole thing in poly or a wet cloth or something that is able to hold in moisture for upwards of a week. And this will create a stronger top layer.
I really can't stress that enough because this is the concrete sink that I poured a week or 2 after. And I didn't have any of the flaking. And this is the one that I did the first wet cure on. Wet cure your concrete countertops or all of your concrete, actually. This is something that I learned and now I'm going to do that moving forward in all of my concrete projects.
All right, now that I have that out of the way, it's time to polish. I wasn't exactly sure how much water I was going to use, but I did know that it was going to get messy. So I just got thin poly from the hardware store and I was draping it all over everything. I had another plan though. This is a tip that I found on a YouTube short and it's really a genius idea.
I saw online that somebody built a box. Basically, you can polish inside of the box and not worry too much about water. Then I can polish in there and I can move it around. Because it's not outside, I can't hose it down. I'm just gonna have it damp and see how it goes. Again, I've never actually done this before.
It's me a week after doing that, and it's funny watching it back because I am completely unaware of how much water I'm actually going to use during this project. So keep watching and you're about to see why I stopped doing it this way.
This made a lot of sense though for it being inside. This is actually so smart. I'm gonna go another level. I'm actually just gonna put a little piece of plastic over top. Never made a jig like this before.
Luke, I am your father.
Sure, it started out fine, but I couldn't get the drill to stop swinging around. That was the first frustrating part, but mainly because I couldn't get a good grip on it. The box might have been too small, and although I learned this on YouTube and YouTube told me that it was foolproof, it still wasn't zero mess. I had splatter everywhere. So that's when I decided to give myself walls of poly and not just floor poly. This worked a little bit better because the poly was higher up than the concrete, so it caught most of the splatter. And I do use the box later on to spot treat areas that I don't like, but not for the overall sand.
Right there. See how that's coming through? It's just the slurry.
And even the poly wasn't foolproof. Just wait till you see what happened to my floors that I didn't know was happening as I was doing this.
The issue is that the drill is uneven. So you have to really make sure that it's like level right here, but this is weight.
I'm also not using nearly enough water. Remember my concrete pour video where I bring the concrete cream to the surface? Well, wet sanding is basically creating more of that and it shouldn't sit too long or it's actually going to harden. But I didn't learn a solution to that just yet. Just watch. I think it's time to retire the 50. I brought that right down to nothing, but I was able to get a ton of aggregate exposed. What you're watching here is the progression of me slowly starting to understand how much water I actually need in order to expose the aggregate and get the look that I want. But I am completely unaware of where the water is actually going, not fully realizing I'm leaking out somewhere.
All right, so at this point, I'm at 400 grit. And it is looking so good. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna go all the way to 6,000. Someone said that in my inbox, actually. They were like, you won't need that. So, what do you know? Kinu a lot. I'm just gonna give everything a really good clean, see where we are at. Like this 400 feels super smooth. This is unhinged. I have no gloves on.
Let's compare the mess that I'm making. This is the first pour, and this is the third. In the third pour, I realized that I actually had a wet, dry shop vac. Duh. So every single time I poured water on it, I was able to sand it down and then take the water away and not get hardly anything on the floor. Do this. It's also a way to show you your progress much faster because you're not moving all of the concrete slurry around the top and trying to see the aggregate through it. Again, let's compare it to the first time polishing. Like an idiot, completely unaware, thinking that the poly underneath my feet is catching all of the water. And I'm just pouring it on and slooshing it off. The progression of the sanding pads went like this. The 50 took about an hour to get down, and then every single time I added a new grit that was higher, it took way less time. So at this point, I'm at, I think, 800, and I can do the entire countertop in under 20 minutes with one pass of 800. So when you start and you're worried that it's going to take you hours, I mean, actually it is going to take you hours, but the 50 is definitely what takes the longest. I started to remove all of the poly thinking that it was so great and I'd captured all the water, even though I took my chances and I was wrong. There was a massive leak behind the only part that I did not step on the far side of the island. Now, I was able to clean most of it up with a towel, but it did leave a few stains, and I just refinished this floor. I'll link that video. But please, don't do this. Instead, do this. It's like any type of waterproofing. You want to make sure that everything essentially comes from the bottom up. So I have this overhanging onto what's on the floor by like, I don't know, 8 or 9 inches. I taped it behind so any water that comes down here will flow onto the floor, which I'm going to loop back up onto the island. Which is what I thought I was doing, but I didn't realize, I should have realized the excess amount of water that I was pouring onto the countertop. It looked like it was catching it all, but it wasn't. But this time for the third pour, I planned the waterproofing properly. I'm also using my wet dry vac, like I said before. So I have maybe 1/10 of the actual water falling down. Do this. Don't do what I did. And then you'll have to refinish parts of your floor.
I wish you could feel how smooth this is. It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful. And I don't care what the internet says, the craft store rocks. Absolutely genius. Oh my goodness. After what felt like 1,000 hours of polishing, and honestly, it probably was close to that, and hands that really, really hurt for a few days. The one thing that I was most worried about in this kitchen has turned out to be so beautiful. And now I have another worry. That is the stone arch range behind me. So make sure you follow along to see if I'm able to figure that out. I'm creating a kitchen that is luxurious and fancy, and I am neither. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go take a nap. Okay, I've got to show you close up. Oh my gosh.